was yesterday, but it wasn't. It was many years ago. But everyone around me, ever since the day I was born, knew I was a mistake. I knew I was a mistake. But looking back now, after all these years, especially where I am right now, I realize that it wasn't my fault. The day I was born, my mother was holding me in her arms. I was crying like any other child would when they're first born, but my father, he looked closer to me. Both my mother and my father had brown hair, but I didn't. My father knew something was a bit off. I never knew what my father looked like, but honestly, I'm glad I didn't. But my father was not my father. My mother had slept with another man. He got so angry and pissed off, he stormed out of the house and never came back. My mother took all the blame on me, and since that day, she wouldn't treat me like her daughter. No, she would treat me like trash, like a slave, her own little pet. I was nothing more to her. She would always tell me that I was nothing but a disappointment, and that it was all my fault, that we can't see my father anymore. One day, I was heading out to go get some vegetables for dinner. I lived in a very spread out village, so I really didn't get to see anybody much. Honestly, nobody really got to see anyone much, but every time I did, they give me dirty glances like I'm some sort of monster just because every time that my mother goes out, which is not very often, she would always spread horrible, nasty things about me. The adults in the village were staring and whispering. The kids would bully me and abuse me like I was their own personal thing. And today was one of those days. I got the vegetables. I felt something hard hit my head. It was small. It was a rock. I picked it up and I looked forward to see where it came from. It was one of the little kids in the village. At this time, they were throwing rocks at me, but it was a lot more bigger rock. It hit my eye, and it left a black eye. Ha 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 ha! The kid laughed at me, scouting like a dying hyena. But that couldn't bother me much. What the hell do you think you're going? The little boy asked me. He looked around 8 years old. Me at the time, I was 12. I was about to walk off, but then both of the other boys came out. This one was about my age. He tackled me into a small puddle and started beating me like beating me like I was a punching bag. When I got home, my mother was pissed off by the fact that my mother wasn't pissed off by the fact that two boys brutally pained me and attacked me. And it made her more pissed off by the fact that I was all dirty. Go take a bath. You have 5 minutes. She would always time me. It was always 5 minutes or less. Doesn't matter. I was doing what she said to do. I went inside of the small bath that we had. I already wasted 2.5 minutes just from getting undressed. You have 3 more minutes left. For some reason, she would always basically remind me every minute, but I followed. But today, it was a bit different. Instead of spending 5 minutes in the bath, I spent 7 minutes. Oh fuck, oh my god. Listen guys, I'm sorry if I kind of mess up in the middle of things. It's just really difficult for me to read, especially it's kind of dark in my room, so yeah, that's probably why, but I hope you don't mind that. Anyways, let's continue. Fuck, where is my spot? I spent 2 minutes getting undressed, 3 minutes in the bath, and 2 minutes getting dressed up again. I, of course, got yelled at for spending 2 extra minutes in the bathroom. But that night she was drinking a little bit, so she got really pissed off. Then she would usually get like she usually get, and I was a target. And I was a target once again. Honestly, at this point, I have already gave up on life and everything else. But whenever she gets like this, I would get down on my knees and cry and beg for forgiveness. Please, I'm sorry. I promise I won't do it again. Don't you raise your voice at me, you brat. And then at that moment, she threw her beer glass at my head. I fell down to my knees, and then I put my hand on the spot that she threw the glass in, my head. It felt wet. I knew I was bleeding. I could feel tears running down my eyes, and they already started to come out. You think crying's gonna make me feel bad? Well, think again. She grabbed me by the hair, by the ends, and dragged me to a small storage closet that we had in the small hut. And she threw me in it. You're gonna stay in here until I feel like you can come out. She slammed the door right in front of my face. The storage closet was very dirty. Wouldn't be surprised if there were any sort of creatures or rats in here. 2 hours have gone by, and I was still stuck in the storage closet. I was supposed to cook dinner tonight, like I always do, but my mother was so pissed off at me that she didn't even want to see my face. So she decided to cook dinner herself, but she didn't really know how to cook. At least since I was the one that did all of the cooking, cleaning, and everything else in the small hut. Suddenly, I started to smell smoke. I looked through the small hole through the door, and I saw red, orange, yellow flames. The hut was on fire. I panicked and I didn't know what to do. It was really dark in the small storage closet, so I decided to feel around and then I felt something. It was a shovel. I grabbed it, and then I started banging on the wall until I managed to make a big enough hole for me to fit through. I went through it, and then I started to run. I looked back once more to see the small hut I used to live in. Everything horrible that that has ever happened to me. The hut was now gone. I didn't know where my mother was, but honestly, I don't care right now. I ran farther into the forest just so I can see if I can find help. Suddenly, I saw a small hut. Something deep inside told me to not go, but I did anyway. I slowly stepped forward to the house. But once I took one step on the stairs, I saw something in there. Wait, what the fuck? I saw something in there. It was some sort of creature. I took another step. This time, the creature looked at me. It had red, hungry eyes. And then it came out of the shadows. It was a demon. I panicked and I started to run away from him, but the demon was right behind me. I knew I probably wouldn't escape, but I had to try. I could feel my running slowing down by the second, and I could feel the demon getting faster and faster by the second as well. I knew I was going to die. Suddenly, I tripped on a tree branch, and then I fell to the ground. I was about to get up, but then the demon grabbed my leg. And lifted me up upside down. Now I really knew I was going to die. I wasn't going to see tomorrow, and now I can't get anyone to help me. But then suddenly, I felt myself drop to the floor. I looked up to see the demon's arm cut off. My eyes widened suddenly. I looked around to see if I could find anything or anyone, but I didn't. But I did. It was a man wearing a white flamed, with long flame keeps in his hair, yellow and red. The demon lunged towards him, and then he used something called flame breathing. Whatever it was, it killed that demon. Once he did, he looked down at me. He stepped closer against. Fuck. Oh my god. I'm so sorry, guys. I know this is my first video, and I really do apologize for all of my mistakes and my stutters and my other stuff. So please forgive me for all of that. Anyways, let's continue. He stepped closer to me, to see some of my injuries. I had some scratches and bruises, a couple of burns. He started to walk towards me. I felt it a little bit once. He saw me fumbling. He stopped. "I'm not gonna hurt you," he said in a calm but sweet voice. I decided that I could trust this man, so I let him walk closer to me. He looked at my injuries to see if they were very severe or anything. And they weren't. They could just heal up in a couple weeks. Suddenly, I heard moving behind the small tree or bush. I don't know. All I know is that I heard some noise. A finger popped out. The man was about to draw his sword, But then it was my mother.